Good morning, everybody. My name is Sharbujit. Thank you for the kind introduction. Thank you for the kind introduction to you. Uh, and thank you for your interest to hear about Larsen and Toubro. Uh, I'm Sharbujit, and we have a European name to an Indian company, right? And how many of you know Larsen and Toubro here? Raise your hand. 1, 2. Okay. So we are unique because we are headquartered in India, and we have a history starting with our founders who went to India 86 years ago. Nothing in space that time from us, but we are proud of this history of Larsen and Toubro. How do I go there? So our founders, Henning Holk Larsen and Soren Toubro, went to India during the British days, and the war started. They could not come back to Denmark, which was their country. And then they started repairing warships. We again have so much wars going on nowadays, unfortunately. So they started repairing warships, caterpillar equipment, which were either this thing was made unoperational. So they made this. So that's the way Larsen and Toubro started. So we are engineers at heart in our company, and today we are considered the largest engineering group in that part of the world. We still are proud of our founders and our leaders who made this company what it is today. So who is Larsen and Toubro? You see the different areas we work on. We make the tallest, the biggest, the longest in any projects in that part of the world and sometimes globally. And we have our aims also to do the same in the space area. We are far away from there, but then we are contributing as I will take you through the presentation. So the largest power plant, solar power plant, this is in Middle East, which we have done in Saudi Arabia, and we are now probably one of the largest EPC contractors. That means we build the power plants and hand over to the owners who then run the power plants. The same we do for airports. If you have arrived in India in the last 10 years, all the major airports, be it Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, are built by us. We don't run these airports, we build them. So it's the scale which we are talking about in our engagement with customers and the society and stakeholders. We also are in the other businesses, as you see, the water area. I won't go detail in this, but just to give you a brief. But what this gives you is a scale of operations which we do, and the same philosophy and passion we would like to bring in our space program as we grow. Space, as you know, is considered essential today. I was just wondering, seeing here, if we didn't have the satellites, we would not be on email, video, which we all do, and connecting everywhere today on internet. So it is not only for the defense, but also for societal use, apart from so many other applications we have in space with the satellites. In France, we have a special place where we represented India in the ITER, the nuclear fusion program. So if you look at the nuclear fusion program, the entire cryostat was made in India, then shipped out to France during COVID days, and then assembled here. We are now assisting other European companies to do some other parts of the project in Kadash in France. So this is a global project on nuclear fusion, and the website you can look at is ITAR, where you have, this is on the nuclear future energy resource, which world leaders and the world engineers are looking at. We have smart cities, you also see there in the smart cities area. India is a large population country, very densely populated. How do people move around the city? How do you make life comfortable in a crowded environment? That's where the smart city concepts, a lot of digital information, connected people, connected resources, all come into play. On your extreme right down, you see L&T Technology Services and LTI Mindtree. Both these companies are working in France with French companies as well as other European companies. And we also have a stall in, I think, hall this thing B. Please, you're most welcome to visit that stall to look at the services from L&T Technology Services. So as I mentioned, we go after scale. We can't be everywhere, so we also have to be focused. That is why sometimes we regret small projects. It's not that we are not interested in small projects, it's just that we have limited resources. And even though we are relatively large, we focus on few and the largest and the most complex projects. So what you see here is construction, as I mentioned, the airports, then energy systems, both onshore and offshore. And we have cooperation with French and European companies here. Aerospace, I will go more deep into it. Traditional power, which India needs a lot. Both coal, I already talked of solar. And then we are one of the pioneers in nuclear program with Indian government. Most of the nuclear plants in India, we have a part to play. Heavy engineering, here again, that's where our cryostat came from. When I talk of heavy engineering, these are all equipments made, fabricated on special steel alloys, all weighing over 3,000 tons. We also are in shipbuilding, but primarily in the military area, in the Navy area. Our defense, even though we are not recognized as a defense company, it's called Precision Engineering Group. It's strategic with our Indian government's defense initiative. Traditionally, most of the defense work was done by government companies in India. We are listed in the stock exchange. We are not owned by any individual. There is a family shareholding in our company. Not a family shareholding, there is an employee shareholding in the company, and then there is a public. We are listed in the Mumbai Stock Exchange. So we are unique that we are not owned by any individual or family, and we are the largest private sector organization with that structure. So what you see here is our Precision Engineering Group, which covers defense. The first nuclear-powered submarine in India was also built in our shipyard. So coming to space now, after giving you the overall picture of our group, because it's important we bring in the same values and the knowledge across the different groups. I come from the communication and the IT technologies, but with the merger of physical to digital, I also have a role to play in the larger group. And that's why I have taken up this role. So what do we do in this? We make launch vehicles for Indian Space Research Organization, in short, ISRO. So we have been associated with ISRO for over 5 decades. 5 decades is 50 years. We are 86-year-old or 86-year young company. So, and in India, budget is not as easy as you can find in Europe or in other parts of the world. We are not a rich country. We are a developing, high growth, high ambition country, right? So under this, budget is always a constraint. So how do you use the resources more effectively in whatever we do with our global as well as local team? So launch vehicles is the first area which we got into, and today we are associated with all the programs of Indian Space Research Organization. Satellite subsystems, we make some of the satellite subsystems and also work with European partners in this. Wherever we can localize, it brings down cost, it brings scale, and you can speed up the process because there are anyway limited resources who have the knowledge. So that's why we work with partners, but with our partners, we have two ambitions: one, to scale it up; one, to bring down cost. And our customers like this very much because they on their own, or our partners, can't do that scaling because of lack of resources. So satellite subsystems, I will go into that with more detail. Navigation and communication exploration. So we are in the monitoring systems of the entire space launch, right from the launch all the way till the base station tracking. So we make some of the equipments, and in other case, we do integration of this on the launch vehicle. SATCOM infrastructure, this is more on the ground stations, which we build in our factories, and this then we provide to both Indian space research as well as globally, and ground testing facilities. So I talked of launch vehicles. This is where we started with the smallest one. You see some new type of launch vehicles coming up here. You have limitations of cost, you have limitations of space. Even though India is a large country, our population is even larger. So we do lack space in India compared to some other parts of the world. So having said that and doing all this sustainably, it's also important how we build our launch pads, where do we build our launch pads and others. So this is the different launch vehicles with the names we have. The PSLV is the one which is most popular, the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. And then you have, this is sort of the engine. So most of our association is with Polar as well as the GSLV. But we have been part of all the programs of ISRO. And here we have global partners working with us to do integration, because everything is not made in India at this point of time, just like here. We also are in the satellite bus structure. Okay, not the full satellites, so we make some parts of the satellites and integrate it for ISRO or for other product manufacturers. So the testing and also do testing facilities in our area when some of them come in assembled conditions from outside. The solar panels, we help in terms of redesigning them, testing them, also, play the mock on ground in different space conditions. So this is also down in our test facilities, as well as our engineers sitting in facilities of ISRO, where we do it together. I will also take questions at the end of the presentation, or if you have questions in between, feel free to ask. I do not have a lot of slides, so I have more time to answer questions, or else we can finish as we go. Solar array panels, the actuators and others, some of them are built in India, some of them are brought from outside and then integrated in India. Of course, when it is brought from outside, the cost goes up. And we are, as I mentioned, we are a cost conscious. We do not have that much of resources. We had the cheapest or the most competitive Mars launch where we were part of. We had the most competitive lunar launch where we went on the dark side of the moon, as they say. Okay, we participated in that. So when you look at from a cost perspective, we are most competitive globally. And that's why when we bring equipments from outside, our idea is how do you bring down cost, right? Because we are a developing nations. From a European point of view, it doesn't look why are they so cost conscious, because we have limited resources. I wanted to stress this because it is important, as even now in Europe you have limited budgets, which budgets been spread around. So deployment of solar arrays, deployment mechanism, we design, make this, and test this in our facilities. The ground infrastructure, we have been there right from the beginning, just like the launch infrastructure, ground infrastructure, we have been there right from last 50 years. So we have been building this even when we had the VSATs working for our engineering projects. The VSATs is the very small aperture terminal which were used earlier for email communications when you did not have a copper line. Right now, of course, we talk of fiber. But it's from those days we have been building this infrastructure for both the telecom networks as well as for the satellite networks, as well as your tracking radar, as well as the base stations, which we build for ISRO and other countries' requirements too. Ground station experience, as I mentioned, it started with our telecom side of the business. Then we moved into the satellite tracking as well as the tracking of the launch vehicles, right? So this is across, we are present across, and then along with ISRO, and we have partnerships with global space research organizations, including Ariane, the French, as well as the US, Sweden, and other organizations. This is a future as ISRO allows the partners to also be independent. We are looking at how we can go into multi-operations launch vehicle testing in centers beyond ISRO, but however working very closely with ISRO. So this is sort of the future as we have more investments coming in the launch vehicles as well as satellites. You know, India launched over 110 satellites from one launch vehicle, which was a world record. Those were communication satellites some time ago, okay, which was a world record at that point of time. So what has been our approach? Our approach, if you look at it, we have segmented it into 3 areas: the upstream, midstream, and downstream, right? Upstream is the heavy infrastructure. You need technologies, you need special materials, okay? And we have built some of that. You see our moon lander there. Also the one for which has gone to Mars, you know, the launch vehicle for that, as well as the midstream areas which we have been there for a long time. And in downstream, we are helping global companies who are using that part of the setup to help coordinate the systems globally. So that's also part of our downstream activities. That's in short what our presentation is. If you have any questions, feel free. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this presentation. Are there any questions in the audience for Mr. Deb? Well, thank you so much. Very relevant presentation.